at that.
Yeah.
Just like we did this before on the air. Rusty Nailz, little Tommy, Sully, and look who's with us today. I'm so happy with that. Well, Ginge.
The Ginge.
And Marianne. Oh, sorry. Chris Ello.
Wrong show.
I was always a Marianne fan.
I was too. Yeah.
Everybody likes Marianne. Yeah. Everybody likes Marianne better. Why? Because Ginger's a snob? Is that the problem?
Probably because Ginger seemed untouchable.
All right.
Got to move to Hollywood and become a liberal.
I'm a
to do
mix.
that?
No.
Nobody.
No.
But we have to say this. Ginger Jeffries from KUSI's Good Evening San Diego.
Yes.
That's where
Hey,
she's
did
from.
you change that name? Was that you?
Good evening.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was.
I
You started producing the show, the name changes, so
No, it was already changed.
Because you got the good morning.
He wouldn't come to the show until the name changed. That's actually what it was. We were like, we want Tommy. We want Tommy.
We have rare footage of when he was in Steve Cohen's office.
Doing a discussion?
Oh, we've got to
Yes.
see
I don't
this.
ever want to see it again.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
That's
if you
it.
don't do it, you're fired.
Yeah, that was it.
So that's Ginger
So
Jeffries.
just a coincidence then that
Yes,
the
it
name
is.
changed the day you started.
And you can see Ginger Jeffries on KUSI Good Evening San Diego from 4 to 7 and then from 10 to like 2 a.m., right?
11:35, but close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that called Good Night,
And-
San Diego?
No, that's just the KUSI News at 10, but I'm really glad you've watched. Yeah.
Wait a second. Just on that.
Busy.
At some point during the show, you have to tell us, what do you do in between? Because you
I've
I've
can't go
always
home.
wondered that. I've always wondered
Right.
that.
So hold on to that. And look who else. One of my favorite guys in the whole world.
Yes.
Ello. I got such great memories of you and I playing first and second base at Jack Murphy Stadium at the time.
I do remember
Do you recall that?
little celebrity softball game.
Oh,
yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Chris
How is
Ello.
he on?
We ripped. We killed.
Are you on the diamond?
Ello turned 2. I did the stretch. I caught.
He covered for me.
Yeah, right.
Anything hit to that side of the field, I just let Sully get.
Of course, Chris Ello from 97.3, The Fan. You are an iconic sports figure here in San Diego.
Wow.
Everything from.
Yeah,
why don't
you're old enough.
Where did you start in San Diego? What was the station?
I think I can answer that.
Tell me.
Well,
Tommy,
I remember
go for
him in the late 80s, early 90s. He was Chris Ello from the San Diego Gulls.
That's right. That's
I
right.
started with the hockey team, broadcasting for the hockey team back in early 1990s, and went from there to the old 690.
The mighty.
The mighty 690.
mighty
one of the
690.
great sports talk stations,
That's where he
really
used
of all
to,
time.
steal my coffee cup and
That's
walk
when you
down
were over at
the-
91X?
91X?
Yeah, Russ was right across the hall at 91X at the same
Hey,
time.
wait a minute. So you were at 690, the golden years with Lee.
Golden
and
years, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. Hacksaw, the Loose Cannons, Jim Rome.
Romy.
And I did weekends and fill-ins, and that's where I got my start. I got to be honest with you, one of my first breaks, Russ doesn't probably remember this, but he was filling in for the 91X morning show the week before the Chargers were in the Super Bowl. So if anybody can even remember that actually happened.
It did.
And
We were there.
San Francisco 49ers, right?
They played the 49ers
That's right.
in the
Okay,
Super
I
Bowl,
remember.
yeah.
Do you remember who won? Do you
I
remember?
do.
Yeah. Well, yes.
I do remember who won, but Russ was doing the morning show, and because the Chargers were such a big deal, they were doing a sports hit on the 91X morning show, and it was me.
It was
No
my.
kidding.
And I was so I was working with Russ T. Nailz. I thought that was a huge break.
He was my news guy, sports guy,
was
because
fun, man.
my other partners were in rehab or something. I don't know what the hell happened to them.
I was the only one who could stay sober.
Do you
at the
remember
time.
trophies right there on Hazard Center?
Of course.
Yeah.
During that game?
Nobody remembers
that's where-
walking out of there, but we all remember
okay.
trophies.
That's because I served you.
Oh,
well,
were you a
yes,
server
of
at
course.
trophies?
I was a bartender.
Overserved.
During that game, I remember.
There was a reason why we all used to go to trophies.
You're exactly right. It was
Exactly.
Ginger.
Because the outfits were very conservative.
I want to say happy
Get a
30th
trophy for that.
because
Happy
a
30th.
big happy
Yeah.
30th birthday to Ginger.
It
Ginger
happens every
Jeffries.
year.
Yeah, do you have
And
something
speaking of
for me?
that, we had
Stop it. Wow.
happy birthday,
Oh
Ginger.
Look at that.
What is that?
That is the bomb. This
You
is
know,
the way to
Is
not
that a
feel
fruit
guilty.
Subway sandwich?
That's
This
a
is
strudel.
amazing.
If you live in the South Bay, that's big time right there.
That is awesome.
Hans and Harry's Bakery in Bonita. That thing's famous.
That's from the Chula Vista Mile of Strudel, isn't it?
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh,
Okay, we'll break into this afterwards.
We will.
How's that
Hey,
Thanks for having a
while you're doing that, can we get the band to play a little something? Of course, Burt Brion Band's here today. Burt, what? You guys to play a little something for
That is
Ginger?
so awesome.
There we
Well,
go.
happy birthday to Ginger.
Right in front of her face. That's good.
I've been running my road, trying to loosen my load. I got 7 women on my mind.
nice birthday.
One of them's Ginger.
One won't hold me, 2 won't stole me, 1 she's a friend of mine. Take it easy. drive you crazy. Lighten up while you still can. Don't even try to understand. Just find a place to make your stand. Take it easy.
Wow, Ginger Jeffries. A very happy birthday. A very happy birthday to Ginger Jeffries.
So good. Nice job.
So,
The band sounds
so
awesome.
So why don't we get to that question that everyone wants to know? What the heck do you evening news people do? Because we always see you on. Well, we always see you guys on at 5, 6 o'clock.
4,
And then we
5,
see you again at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night.
You see us actually at the top of the hour as well.
So what do you do?
We do. Everybody's different.
Honestly, I would want to know what you do. Do you sit and take a nap out in the car?
Some people do. I don't know. I'm a journalist. I'm looking at stories. I'm enterprising stories. I'm helping a 10 o'clock producer.
Yeah, she's working.
The whole time?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, the rest of
ever
us
see
phoning
me
it in.
leave?
We're barely show up like
Do
1
you
second before our
ever
show.
That's what the radio
No.
people do. The TV people evidently work.
That's
You know what?
exactly right.
Do you ever see me leave? You know I'm in there. Everybody goes to lunch. I'll stay there.
You know what? That's accurate. You never leave. You're doing your job, and you're preparing for the 10 o'clock, or you're preparing for other stories.
Working on other
Yeah.
things.
So
so-
you know, when I was growing up in San Diego, when I would watch like Leitner and Larry Himmel, I've wondered what they did. But I think it was obvious back then in the 70s and 80s that they went out drinking.
Yeah.
Of course they did.
Because they would come back
Russ,
to
in
do
fact,
the
Russ,
10.
our correspondent back in the day.
I would have to meet them at the bar at a certain time for a cocktail.
Yeah, I don't
Weren't you in the import-export business back
That's what it
then?
was. Carpeting, things like that.
I thought you were.
Vandalay Industries.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Vandalay.
That's not going to happen anymore. How do you read the teleprompter after you've had some drinks? Even Tommy's like, how do you not drink in between the shows? I'm
Ted
like,
Leitner did not read a teleprompter.
Okay.
He did the
Right here.
entire
That's
sports
true, true.
report off the top of his head.
That's why there's no teleprompter here.
Incredible.
Because,
no.
okay,
We're
Wait,
winging
you
it.
guys are not scripted? I can't believe that. This seems so regimented.
we have a big story that you're doing that I believe you're going to have lots of gold statues for, and that's the Rebecca's house story we're going to get to later in the program. But Ello,
Wow.
There's so much to talk about in sports right now because last year was just a weird year between the cardboard cutouts and the piped-in fan noise and everything else.
Yeah.
The question in everyone's mind is this going to look like a normal year in all of the sports, any of the sports, one of the sports? Because right now, the Padres, watching them on TV, reminds me of Padre games when I was in 12th grade. Because that's what the crowd looked like all through high school.
Yeah, 15,000. That's
Yeah.
about what they used to have.
Dispersed over the whole thing.
Dispersed over the whole
Yeah,
thing.
all over the stadium. I tell you, I'm just excited that there's sports of any kind.
Yeah.
A year ago at this time, we were doing a sports talk show, myself and Tony Gwynn Jr., and we were honestly talking about social injustice and COVID and
Nothing about
vaccines.
sports.
There was no sports
Right.
of any kind going on. So I'm just excited that there's sports, and at least it's gotten going. And I don't know if this year's going to ever look like a normal year, but it's getting closer and closer, and fans are coming back. So.
Is it cool doing a show with Tony Gwynn Jr. because obviously his dad was your idol? How is it doing a show with him?
Yeah, well, his dad was my idol. He's also my teammate. I played at San Diego State with Tony Gwynn.
Are you
Sr.
really?
Yeah, we played on the same team back in the day, and then he went on and did what he did and left me behind. But
Wow, you're taking care of yourself.
thank you.
Did you know at that point that he was just something different, that he was cut apart? Am I allowed to ask?
No, I was just thinking to myself, this is fantastic. Because I have to do less
You
work.
didn't tell me she was going to be
Ginger
asking
Jeffries
questions.
is going to start doing
I don't
interviews.
even
I
know
love
that.
it. No,
Like,
I'm
great.
so happy that
Go
it's
for
like
it,
we have a
Ginger.
professional interview.
There you go,
here.
Ginger. A little
I
something,
did
something.
not, I did
Keep
not
it going.
sign an okay for that. Yeah, Tony Gwynn Sr. was obviously at San Diego State was a fantastic player, All-American player, but we actually had another player on that team. His name was Bobby Meacham. He was a shortstop, and he was the cover boy, top 10 draft pick.
Really?
And yeah, Bobby Meacham was a shortstop. He went to the St. Louis Cardinals, and his career never panned out. He ended
Because
up
of
playing-
that?
Because of why?
Because they went to the Cardinals?
It honestly was because he went to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Because in those days, they were switching all of their players into switch hitters, and he couldn't bat left-handed, and he
can?
could only bat right-handed.
Yeah.
And they traded him to the Yankees, and he made a bunch of errors, and George Steinbrenner was the owner of the Yankees and kept sending him to the minor. Anyway,
Right.
Bobby Meacham ended up as a first base coach for the Padres many years later, but while he was doing that, Tony Gwynn was taken off in the Padres organization. I think Tony wasn't drafted until the third round.
But to be on San Diego State Aztecs baseball team, you must have been a great high school player.
Thank you.
How
wasn't.
But how were you, and where did you grow up?
And where?
I believe it or not, here we go. I grew up in.
Hold on, excuse me. Wait a second, hold on.
Is it the music?
Okay.
Let's look back.
Let's bring us back to a gentler time.
A young Chris Ello.
Ignoring the jeers of the other players at San Diego State, where did you come from?
I think this announcement's going to deserve different music.
All right.
I grew up
Oh,
and
boy.
went to Beverly Hills High School.
Oh. Well, excuse me.
That's what I
The
thought.
whole dream's over.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Beverly Hills High School and played there and made all league. Good enough to get an invite to come play at San Diego State.
So it's the
I was a
70s.
pitcher.
So it's the mid-70s.
I want to know what his parents did if he lived in
Yeah.
Beverly Hills. What did
Well, they
your
obviously
parents
bought
in the
a
movie
building
business?
estate because he got
Come on.
in there.
Yeah, that's right. No, back in those days, come
library.
on now, anybody could get into San Diego State.
Oh, that's-
I got in.
That's right. I was there with you.
Yeah.
You know what?
So you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
you can
Yeah,
fog
you're-
up a mirror. It's like right before the mortgage crisis when you could
Right.
fog up a mirror and get a mortgage.
Sully's the poster child of anybody can go to this school
That's exactly
during
right.
that time.
What did your parents do?
They really didn't do anything special, unfortunately. We lived in an apartment.
In Beverly
in
Hills?
fact,
They
there was-
have apartments in Beverly Hills.
They do have apartments. Did you ever hear of a movie called The Slums of Beverly Hills?
Yes.
Yes.
Came out many years ago. It was
Yes.
written by one of my classmates growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And because we all lived in apartments, but it just happened to be in Beverly Hills. Now, there was obviously the very rich parts of Beverly Hills. I did not live there.
Were you still
but you still get
90210?
to
Was
say-
that your
It
zip
was,
code?
I believe, 90211.
Oh, one
Wait a minute.
shot. One
This is
shot.
There's no
Fine,
such
that
thing, and there's no such thing as West Beverly High.
Hey, wait a minute
Oh,
here.
Sorry to tell you.
So Beverly Hills in the 70s, mid-70s, late 70s, I assume.
Right.
Did you grow up with anyone?
There was a couple of people that were in school
Famous, we're thinking.
that were famous. Nicolas Cage went to our high school at that time.
Oh, I have his Bitcoin.
Was he super weird?
I don't know. He was.
No?
I
Not-
don't want to age
not
myself
then.
too badly. He was behind me a couple.
Chris was a
years
sports
after.
star. He wasn't talking
And he
to
was
act.
Nick Coppola at the time, I believe.
Oh,
was his
yes.
name, 'cause
Okay.
He's from the Francis Ford Coppola family.
I didn't know
one way
that.
or another, yeah.
Yeah.
His brother's a KGB disc jockey.
Who's that?
That's right. In the afternoon.
Yeah.
Nick Cage?
Nick
No,
Cage's brother's
what was his,
on KGB.
I forgot what his name was. He's a good.
Dog cage.
Nailed it.
But he was pretty good style. But,
What am I here for?
Anyway,
Not that.
I think David Schwimmer also went to high school when I was in high school.
Okay, so back to sports. Let's talk about really, the face of Major League Baseball right now happens to be playing at Petco Park.
Yeah, Fernando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that is he for real?
Of course he is. I mean, he doesn't put on a show. He's just himself. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he grew up in a major league family. His dad played in the big leagues and
Knows how to act.
He gets it. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
knows how to act. He gets it. He has a lot of fun, and he's changing baseball as we know it. I mean, the bat flip and all of the celebrations and the excitement that he brings. I mean, baseball, you weren't supposed to celebrate your successes on
That's
the field.
lame.
Back-
Screaming, none of that. Whatever
course
happened to hey batter,
Yeah,
That's softball.
thankfully now that's turned into.
softball. Yeah. The
Now
girls
that's-
sing, the boys
I was able to
don't.
play
Yeah, yeah.
softball.
But wait a
because-
minute. On the Padres,
Yeah.
there's so many great players. How is he above them? I mean,
Because he's the young face of baseball. And
Yeah.
if you look at the video game, MLB 21
Yes.
show, he's on the cover of it. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the future of baseball. Now, Manny Machado is also another pretty big name, but I mean, he's a little longer into his career. He's in
And
his
he
90s
doesn't.
already.
He can't rock the dreads, Manny Machado. He really can't.
But you said him growing up in a
She's
baseball
asking
family.
another question.
This is awesome. I can't tell you how much I love
gotta
this.
help myself.
Hey, lock up when you guys are done. Let's go, guys. We're done. The show's done.
Ginger, go right ahead.
I,
There we go.
I mean, are they even here anymore? Like, we could just take this.
Who needs them?
We go because I got to get into hockey
doesn't-
too. We've got a game, the Ranger game, to talk about. But
Yeah.
so Tatis growing up in a family that is a baseball family, that could have gone one of two ways. He could have been entitled, not wanting to work for it, and just living on his name,
Potentially so.
or he could be doing what he's doing, which is carving out his own path
Yeah.
and really earning it.
Yeah, and I think he also learned, just how hard his dad probably had to work to play. His dad was kind of just a pedestrian player. I mean, not an all-star.
Except the two grand salamis in one
He
inning.
had 2 grand slams in 1 inning. Very good, Russ.
Yeah.
On the date that Fernando
Fernando
had a
then
dinner.
hit 2 home runs on the same date at Dodger Stadium many years later.
Which hadn't happened
But
either.
very good,
And
Russ.
sitting there working with Tony Gwynn, because I'll close my eyes because it's radio, and it just sounds a little.
That's Bill Cosby.
Well, whatever. I
This is
can't
like
do
when
Tony.
you. This is like when you Ronald
Shut up.
Reagan and it
Jr.
sounds like
as
Clint
Bill
Eastwood.
Cosby.
So yeah, you see, it looks like this is.
Yeah, see that?
That's a little Bill Cosby.
Can you do Ronald Reagan for us without sounding like Clint Eastwood?
Well, no, I can't. That's all I got.
Mommy.
But do you ever just
Yes.
get that flash
All the time.
And Tony's, does he have his laugh? I haven't picked that up
Yes,
as much.
He does. He has the
Really?
same laugh. He has the same personality.
It's a great laugh.
And I mean, you talk about somebody growing up in a baseball family. Tony Gwynn Jr. obviously with his dad, and he got all of the great traits that his dad had. I mean, his dad was just a spectacular guy. You know, when I was just, because I was a young player at San Diego State, and he was one of the veteran, you know, all-American players. Just the fact that he would talk to you as a teammate was a big deal. You know, coming in to play at San Diego State. And Tony Gwynn Sr. was everything that you thought. Everything, everything he seemed like he was, and his son is the same.
I have to ask, because we three grew up right here in San Diego. I remember going to the first Charger game with my dad at San Diego Stadium, $25 million, all taxpayer money. Made San Diego a little nicer place to live.
Who's the quarterback?
Nice hole in the ground.
John Hadel?
John Hadel, Lance Allworth, Bambi.
Gary Garrison?
Gary Garrison. Bob Babbage. Was the middle linebacker?
Yeah.
Keith Lincoln.
Keith Lincoln. That's exactly
Paulo.
right. That's exactly right. Paulo.
Walt
Jack
Sweeney.
Partee was the kicker.
Is that the guy with the clay foot? Or?
No, that was the guy
Wait a
from
second.
New Orleans.
I don't want to correct the host.
Was it not Partee?
Do it.
Wasn't it Jack?
Because she's the host now.
Yeah, Ginger, tell him it was Dennis Partee.
Dennis Partee.
It was Dennis
That's right.
Partee,
Dennis
you
Partee.
clown.
Here's my question. Thank you, Ginger.
That was because you were
Hey,
late.
Ginger.
That was because you were late.
Yeah, he'll turn your mic off anytime now.
So, is the NFL going to use San Diego like they used Los Angeles for 20 years, dangling the carrot to another expansion team or letting another team move here? Because
I don't know how they can until we get a stadium.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's pretty hard to use San Diego as to threaten anybody that they're going to move a team to San Diego. There's nowhere for that team to play. Now they're building a new stadium for the Aztecs.
Build it and they will come.
But they would have to make it quite a bit bigger to have an NFL team. And,
well,
say they're going to be able to do that, but that's such a long way off.
I'm good.
It's 2021. Are you a Chargers fan?
No.
Good.
No.
You're
I
dead to
really,
me too. You're exactly right.
I was never really a Charger fan. Anybody who listens to our show knows I root for the Miami Dolphins, and there's absolutely
naturally
great reason.
Beverly Hills, San Diego State, Dolphins.
Hey, will
makes all the sense in the world.
Will 17-0 ever be beaten?
I hope not. It's the one thing I hang on to.
Yeah.
I was actually about 10 years old when that happened.
I remember.
It was one of the first games I went to in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. Was a Miami Dolphin LA Ram game. And my dad.
That season?
The season before, actually. And my dad, I think, thought he was being funny, bought me a dolphin pennant to wave around. And all of the people yelled at me. I was a 10-year-old kid, and I brought the pennant home and put it up, and I was a Dolphin fan.
Chris Ello, Ginger Jeffries,
Makes no sense.
on the air with the Burt Brion Band, taking us out. Burt Brion Band, I'll tell you what, my good buddy Burt Brion, and of course Gary Santapietro, a fantastic guitar player.
You know,
sounding good,
Nathan
guys.
Brown bass. What's up, man? You guys doing good? Did I hear you? Did I hear you had an? You're gonna have to go over to Burt's mic to talk for a second. Did I hear you have a new album coming out? Did I see on Spotify you have new songs coming out?
I have a new single that just came out.
What? So how can people find it?
On Spotify, all the streaming outlets.
Nathan, is it Nathan Brown bass?
Nathan Brown.
Nathan Brown, there he is, fantastic. I've actually played with every one of these guys, except for the drummer, who refused to play with me. So that's right. Well, real quickly,
Smart man then.
Burt, how are you? Good to talk to you, Burt Brion. You making it?
Hey, doing well, and you know, things are starting to loosen up, so I'm starting to get some looks out there, and so looking forward to doing more.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, your chords, when I listen to you, you're not playing like Rolling Stone jumping jack flash chords. What's that called? Because you guys are playing, you know, like jazz chords.
Diminished.
Like,
Well, when they're
what
off
is it?
key, you call it jazz.
Yeah.
You know?
So they're just jazz chords would be a good word, but more dominant seventh.
Can you play us a dominant seventh, please?
Here we go.
Not a sixth, but a seventh.
Oh, I love
See, yeah, right?
I love being dominated by a 7th.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Bert's a fantastic piano instructor.
Yeah.
And aren't you also a teacher here in the city of San Diego?
I am. I teach at Carmel Valley Middle School.
Look at him.
Del Mar.
And I'll tell you, I think the piano has got to be the easiest to start because your fingers, it doesn't matter what size your fingers are. When I was 9, I tried to play guitar. My fingers didn't go around the thing to get the thing. And on the piano, you just go,
What's the excuse now for the guitar?
Hi.
Oh, by the way, have you
How many
seen...
different instruments do you play?
Yeah.
I play 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
But mostly piano.
Mostly.
Yeah.
No, I play none.
Yeah.
I hold a guitar like I am, though. It's freaking awesome.
It looks
You really
good,
don't
yeah.
play the guitar?
Yes, I play.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say, speaking of playing, Rusty Nailz can be... Have you seen Russ up with pilfering pieces of my band one at a time? He's got Nacho up there. He's got Steve Dillard playing.
Yeah.
Every Sunday at the Monarch in Del Mar.
Beautiful new club in Monarch. Come on up Sunday 4 till our bar tab equals our paycheck, and then we got to quit because you got to know when to go away. But sunset, we're done. But come on up, cocktails outside. In fact, anybody sign up.
If you want to,
got open Sundays.
Russ is building a band little by
Sully
little.
should come jam with
Never
me.
not
Little
gonna-
Tommy's gonna
I'm
be
not
with
the
me.
guy. Tommy can do it. Tommy can.
I can play one song, Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Tommy, what do you play? I've never heard you play anything.
Oh, come on.
Hold on. Now you
Hold
open
on
it
a
up.
second.
shoot.
Here we
When
go.
I was,
Come on.
when I was in high school,
I was young.
when I was in high school, I was in like little garage bands.
Yeah.
And I would play like, Jumpin' Jack Flash. To
And the
Johnny
garages
Be
got
Good.
bigger, and then
And
you
then,
became a Hall of Fame radio personality.
But I used to play really well. And then I got into radio and stopped playing. But I can fake it pretty good.
Phil, come on.
Something. Come on.
See, because
Come on.
I don't need a whole lots of money. I don't need a big fine car. I got everything that a man could want. I got more than I could ask for. I don't have to run around. I don't have to stay out all night. 'Cause I got me a sweet, sweet loving woman, and she knows just how to treat me right. Well, my baby, she's alright. Well, my baby, she clean out of sight. Don't you know that she is some kind of wonderful, some kind of wonderful, some kind of wonderful, yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
also on Spotify.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
he's on
you.
Spotify. At least
I
listen to
was, I was trying to get Russ's panties so I could throw them at you.
Yeah.
Because,
No.
that's what they're supposed to do.
But,
All right.
Okay.
Talk me into it.
That was impressive, Tommy. My
Yeah,
goodness.
no, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, I can do this.
Ginger, were you ever a sports person? Or a sportscaster?
Absolutely.
Were you a sportscaster?
No. I just love
But you
sports.
worked in the sports bar.
I
Same.
love sports. That's why I never wanted to do it on TV. Because, I mean, you get grilled everywhere you go. So who played shortstop in the 1972 MLB Series Game 4?
Sal Bando.
He's not Steve Hartman.
No, it's
Burt Campaneris.
Oh, I don't even know.
See? Still got it. He still got it.
Yeah, so.
And the rest of us go, oh, cool. And we would never have an idea. He could make us something. Burt Campaneris sounds like a baseball name.
Does.
Maybe it doesn't even exist.
He was
When I
a shortstop for the Oakland A's in the 1972 World Series.
Wait, you're being serious right now?
Being
That's
And I bet you can name the whole A's on that year.
72 A's.
Vita Blue,
Well, Vita Blue was one of the pitchers. Reggie Jackson was on that team. Joe Rudy, Gene Tennis,
Sal Bando.
Sal Bando. Tommy's got it.
He's got it.
Got it. Ray
Tommy's got a
Foster.
teleprompter right behind your head.
Jim Catfish Hunter.
Hooked up
Yes,
to
and I'm sure
Siri.
the
Everybody.
teleprompter's
You know why?
whipping through Wikipedia right now to put up the 72
That's what the
Oakland
third
A's.
chair
The only
does
reason
inside the
why,
control room.
because 72
Yeah.
Slurpee cups were huge.
Do you remember
And
the
you could
Dave
collect
Winter
all those
Slurpee
guys.
Cup
Yeah, you could
promotion in
collect those.
San Diego? That was fantastic.
That's
right.
when I was born, just
Yeah.
FYI. So, no, I don't
Hey.
remember the Slurpee cups. I had the milk cup going.
Yeah.
There you go.
The tippy cup.
No,
They didn't have Oakland A's players pictured on your milk cup.
No.
So if you're a kid loving sports, growing up in the 70s, is it still cool when you see like Randy Jones?
Oh,
Is
the
it?
greatest, yeah. I mean, we've had a chance to, my wife and I go out with he and his wife to dinner before, and I'm like stunned just that I'm hanging out with Randy Jones. It's a lot of fun.
And Marie
And it was
Jones.
great. One night we were out at dinner someplace in North County, and somebody came over to our table and asked me for an autograph.
In front of Randy Jones.
And Randy Jones was like,
man.
oh, what happened there?
And his wife is Marie, and your wife is Lori. I've known Lori for just as long.
I know Lori works in radio, and so she's met most of you guys, and she's still working in radio. Having a great time.
All right.
Doing marketing.
Hey, we have so much to go.
We do. Lots of stuff happening. It's time to talk about a story that's coming up that we haven't talked about in a while, and all of a sudden you are front and center with that Rebecca's House stuff. I watched that whole series. We're going to talk about that when we come back. It's on the air. Look who's here. Chris Ello, Ginger Jeffries, the Hall of Fame radio personality.
Yes.
And part-time garage band person.
Are you officially in the Hall of Fame yet?
Russ is.
Should be.
He is.
Russ is a.
Tommy is.
I was gonna.
Russ is even doing now.
Yeah.
There it is.
We'll see you in a sec.
Well deserved.
Today is the best day of what's ahead for me. I can't wait to see what that will be.
Hey, it's on the air. Sully, little Tommy, Rusty Nailz. We got Ginger Jeffries in here, and of course, Chris Ello from 97.3 The Fan, and Burt Brion. Burt Brion will be here. Brion will be here all day with us. So, boy, Tommy sent me some texts this week, and I had already seen the first piece of the Rebecca's a House story, and I watched that thing, and I'm going to tell you, you did a fantastic job putting that together, because I'm honest to goodness, it was just amazing. Because if you think in terms of some of the people, I remember talking about it on talk radio because I was on afternoons on Kogo when it happened, and to really fast forward this many years,
10 years,
and it's
Can you
still
believe that?
fascinating, and it's still a head scratcher to me.
Well, hold on. For people that don't know the story, tell us about July 13th, 2011.
You know, it takes so long, so I can give you some cliff notes, but you know, you guys were here, so I'm really curious to find out what it's like for folks who were here. I was working in the media, and so I think what really captured my attention about this story 10 years ago was, you know, it's 5 o'clock, and we're taking a live shot from Coronado, you know, because there's usually a pool camera, there's a helicopter flying around, all the networks tap into it. And so I just remember seeing, you know, this live picture, and there's still a body fully exposed.
Oh, wow, really?
And she was found just before 7 o'clock in the morning. And I mean, I looked at my co-anchor and I said, it's 5 o'clock. You know, how is that body still exposed? At that moment, that became seared in my head, and I went, something's not right here. And so then I did the story with Crime Door, because, you know, there's this app that you can actually go into different crime scenes. John Benet Ramsey. I mean, there's all the big, you know, crime stories.
Like the augmented reality version?
Exactly. Yeah. So you can go in, and so they put Rebecca's a House, her case, on Crime Door. Contacted the folks at Crime Door. I said, I'd really like to talk to you, and I ended up talking to some of the family. And I mean, when you go into that it's actually not a crime scene, though. You got to understand, it's not considered a crime scene. It is classified as a suicide, case closed.
Oh. Well, so let's talk. Let's reset for the audience who doesn't know, because basically there was a call at 7 in the morning to the Coronado Police Department, saying that a girl had hung herself.
Right.
And that girl had been bound, and a T-shirt or something in her mouth wrapped around the back of her neck.
Her T-shirt wrapped around her face 3 times.
No sign of struggle, but her completely dirty feet.
Yep.
Take it from there.
Bound and gagged, hanging, and the person that, so, I mean, right off the bat, does that sound like a suicide?
Well, how do you, I mean, I think everybody starts going to, well, how can you do it? You couldn't do it.
Arms, you know, bound behind her back, and gag in her mouth. And that call that you bring up, so that was from Adam Shacknai, the boyfriend of Rebecca's a House. So Rebecca and Jonah lived in the Spreckles mansion. This was a summer house. Jonah Shacknai, of course, you know, very wealthy pharmaceutical
But
company.
Spreckles also caught my attention, too, because that's a famous name in San Diego, and that's a historic house.
Sure.
So.
So the caller says, a girl hung herself, literally. Adam says over and over, girl called himself. If you've ever called 911 and you don't typically tell the person on the other line what happened, you're usually screaming for help.
It's like, so here's the deal. something happened here? You guys, I mean, and you played in your piece,
right?
That actual 911 call, and it sounded sort of contrived.
He says it about 7 or 8 times. I mean, I don't know. That jumped out at me as well. You know, why are you? Why don't you know her name is Rebecca? This is the girlfriend of your brother for over 2 years. You're staying in a home with her. You supposedly went to dinner with her the night before, but now she's a girl who hung herself.
So how does it shift from the Coronado Police to the Sheriff's Department?
So Coronado PD, and they rightfully so, they said, hey, we deal with stolen bikes. We know. That's not a bad thing. It's Coronado.
It's
crime rate's
Coronado.
low. You know, that's a good thing. So they immediately on scene went, this doesn't look good. And so they called in the Sheriff's Department because Sheriff's going to be able to handle something like that.
But what about the medical examiner? Why did they take hours to show up?
I've asked repeatedly, and I haven't gotten that answer.
How long did it take?
Over 12 hours.
Hold on, press pause there.
That's a long lunch.
When you have interviewed people for this story.
Well, first of all, when I did this piece, this 3-part series, all I did was take the evidence that the Sheriff's Department has collected. I didn't go conduct.
But anybody? Do you think anybody would talk to you?
I've asked. I've requested.
And they won't.
Not yet. And I mean, I know what I'm going to get.
That's weird to me also.
Wait a minute.
So is that brother.
Wait a minute.
He's the weird guy.
Adam.
Is that him?
He was found.
So wait.
Get him out of here. Next.
Is this real life or is this a show on HBO Max?
I know, right?
It's real life.
And
if you think about it, it's real life for this family who has been, you know, they filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the brother because they believe he's the one that first of all, it's not a suicide, that it was a murder. But, you know, that family's been fighting to clear this woman's name.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, this is an honorable woman with an honorable family, and her dad had to go to his grave thinking his daughter committed suicide.
Well, one of the interesting things is when they did the investigation, I remember Bill Gore Sheriff Bill Gore doing a press conference saying, look at the DNA evidence, there's nothing other than, there's 13 pieces of DNA, 12 of them are hers, and then there's one unidentified. Well, there's another question mark immediately.
So you're talking about in 2011, so by September, it was first ruled as a homicide, a potential homicide. So they investigate it. And then by September, Sheriff Gore comes out and he does have a press conference and he says, you know, we've looked at all the evidence and our theory is that this was a suicide and here's our reason, their reasoning. And they do go into the DNA, there's mixed DNA, but again, that's 10 years ago.
No.
DNA has changed quite a bit.
That's like 100 years ago.
It's the weird brother. Case
Wait. I have so many questions.
Yeah, it is.
So many questions.
And it's only going to get more interesting here. Stay there because Ginger Jeffries, and are you can find it on KUSI.com. Are you going to replay this series? You need to replay it every night because it's fantastic. They need to be all in a row, a nice little piece from top to bottom.
It's 18 minutes long, which for news time is pretty wild because that's 3 different pieces.
It's fascinating.
I've got hours of stuff. I don't think that's going to be the end. It's just the beginning, especially with the response.
Yeah, because the response right now, and that's what we'll talk about.
I have more questions.
All right.
I got answers.
There, have some more strudel.
And strawberries.
Questions and strudel.
You want one, don't you?
Come on. Chris Ello, Ginger Jeffries, little Tommy, Rusty, I'm Sully. It's on the air. There's the Burt Brion Band. Hey, it's on the air. Little Tommy, Sully, Rusty Nailz, and Ginger Jeffries,
And the strudel.
and Chris Ello.
You know what
We got, listen, we got radio sports, we've got TV news,
And a strudel.
we've got a really cool band in Burt. Can I have a big hand for
Burt.
Yeah. Great guy. Burt, are you playing anywhere soon? Anywhere we can see you?
Yeah, actually, the Encinitas Elks in June and Black Rail and Carlsbad in July.
All right, good. We'll go see this place.
Down the street.
Right.
All right.
I have a question.
All right, of course.
How do they get
That looks like a Stromboli, by the way.
Here's
It
so
looks
good.
like a fruit
I have a
Stromboli.
question first. How do they get it to look like a refrigerator magnet? I mean, it's got that nice.
The glaze.
It's got the glaze.
That's from Hans and Harry's in Bonita, very
Dude,
famous
it's so
bakery.
Good. This
Hans
custard
and
is
Harry.
out of
Love
this
them both.
world.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I watched your special report.
Here we go.
Nice.
And I see that, you know, she was bound.
Right.
I see, you know, there was something in her mouth and all that. If I was a private investigator, I would say, hey, wait. Maybe it wasn't a suicide. I don't understand why a private investigator isn't saying that.
Or how could this possibly be a suicide?
That's one of the problems when the sheriff first made this determination in 2011, and then the family hired their own private investigator. And there's been so much since that point, and including a wrongful death case that was won. So even a judge in that case said there was enough evidence to show that this is, you know, potential homicide. But the sheriff at that point said, okay, I'm going to open the investigation. And I covered that, I believe, in part 3. The investigation that he didn't actually include any new investigative material. They didn't retest any DNA. They didn't do anything as far as furthering the investigation. It seems that they just fit the narrative of their original investigation, and they added this example of one of the detectives showing how you could tie these ropes so you could actually do how she was found. The problem with it
is that Harry Houdini's trick, wasn't it?
Well, there's
magic.
There's several problems with it because in the sheriff's example, first of all, the woman is not naked and she does not have a gag in her mouth. So if you gag yourself, you have what, under 90 seconds until you pass out. So somehow, you know, if you're going to actually replicate I'm a math person. My mom's a physics teacher. I love math. I know the quadratic equation, opposite b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac.
You can't say those words on TV.
So
I got a calculator.
So I love math. And the reason, and science. And you know, when you have a theory, if you can't back up that theory with a proof, then it's a guess. Yeah. And so if you're going to have a reenactment, it needs to actually be a pure reenactment, and you need to have all of the, examples in there showing, okay, she's gagged, she's naked, and she's got to somehow get all the knots in the right position, because in the sheriff's example, that knot is down by her hand because she was manipulating it. Yeah. On Rebecca, it's up at the top. So again,
if it's up in the chair, and the chair didn't move, right, or something
the
like
bed.
That?
So the bed moved 7 inches, which is supposedly what anchored her jump, 9-foot jump over this.
So let's say she weighed $120.
So 120 pounds goes over a 9-foot railing at
you weighed 100 pounds.
Forget it.
And you drop 9 feet with a rope, and the bed's going to move 7 inches. That bed's going to go.
Right. It's going to move. And here's what the sheriff's department will say: you need to know the floor piling. You need to know the kind of carpet. You need to know the weight of the bed. There's been
call our friends at Kohl's, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Hey, Jerome, listen. How much does a king size?
Where's Levitz when you need him,
Jerry?
There's been a lot of reenactments, and they all show that the bed.
So what are they seeing that we're not?
Yeah, right.
Like, is there something?
No.
Do you feel? I mean, what are you smelling there? I mean, Chris, you're an investigative guy. I mean, when you talk, I've seen you interview.
Put your nose in where.
Sometimes it's not very much. Wouldn't you be asking? I mean, wouldn't the sheriff? It's something is amiss.
That's what everybody's been saying, and I think it's unfortunate that if I were, and I'm not an investigator, I'm not Sheriff Bill Gore. I think he's really served San Diego in so many ways well.
I love Bill Gore.
I do too.
But the problem is, this doesn't pass the sniff test for anybody. And if he were so confident in his investigation, then I'd be screaming it from the mountaintop. I'd be saying, this is why we didn't test the DNA, and this is why we didn't do the reenactment the way we did. And this is, another problematic part. They're trying to say she committed suicide because she was distraught about the little boy who took a fall.
Oh, that's right.
But you got to keep in mind, that little boy on the night that she dies is going to recover. So the little boy falls on a Monday. Rebecca dies Tuesday night. I showed the doctor's note that says on Wednesday, he's doing well, but we're concerned, so we're going to order some tests. They do the tests on Wednesday after Rebecca's dead. They get the results for the test on Thursday to determine that he's going to unfortunately pass. So if Rebecca is so distraught about...
She didn't know.
She didn't know
yet.
And it wasn't her fault that the little boy died. So,
wow, the plot thickens.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Welcome
Twin
to
Peaks.
Murder and Strudel with your co-host Ginger and Rusty.
I
mean,
This would never pass Columbo.
No way.
Just one more thing. Just one more thing, man.
So
you're tied to the
let's
bed.
Stop down for a minute. When did it not seem? Was it from the very beginning for you, or
absolutely?
as you
as a woman,
from the top,
woman seeing let's face it. If I died in my house the way Rebecca did, would I be covered up in 30 minutes?
Maybe.
100%.
And the writings on the wall, what is that all about?
That's right. There was a weird.
It's a random poem.
Yeah.
And it says, it's interesting when you look at it too, and I didn't even go into this part. It looks like the S is added on later because it says.
Typo?
It says, well.
They didn't have a big bucket of whiteout.
I got friends like that on Facebook. It's like, it's there, not there. Oh, shut up.
No. Think about it. So when Max fell, Rebecca found Max and administered CPR. Yeah. And they believe she is the reason that he survived from the beginning. Okay? Now, on the door, a lot of people feel it said, he saved her. He saved her. He saved him. Can you save her? And then a lot of people think that S got added in later. So that's also tricky. But, again, I'm not trying to come up with theories and ideas.
To use Chris's parlance, you're just calling balls and strikes here.
I use the evidence the sheriff has. And, as far as that writing goes, so there are these real tiny little skinny paint brushes. There's a tube of paint. There are no fingerprints on the tube of paint other than a thumb on the cap that's open. So somehow,
that's weird.
By the sheriff's theory, Rebecca would have had to magically talk the paint to come out of the tube and go directly onto her paintbrush because there's also nothing to hold. If you've ever painted something, you squeeze the paint into here, you take it and paint.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, she didn't squeeze a tube. She, again, coerced it out.
This is weird.
And then there's nothing to hold it.
It's the magic paint theory.
There's a lot of oddities. And again, I'm not trying to come up with anything. I'm not a detective. I'm not the sheriff. I'm just presenting the evidence they have presented, and I'm allowing people to go,
is there a sports mystery we can unravel when we come back?
There is. There's several. Well, but I'll tell you what we want to do, though, when we come back. I want to talk about where you think this thing bifurcated, where you think it went south, because I'm sure there's a couple places. On the air, Ginger Jeffries is with us. There we go.
And Chris Ello.
Chris Ello's with us.
From Beverly
for
Hills.
everyone.
From Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
I have a huge announcement on the next break, which affects all of us.
Get out of here.
And it's Strudel worth.
Wow.
Yay!
Hey, it's on the air. We are deep in Strudel and murder mysteries here. But before we start,
Strudel and suicide.
Can I say something really exciting right now?
Yes.
This show, how many episodes do we have here?
This is 51.
51, as in KUSI channel.
Come on.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, that's
51.
When was our first broadcast on?
In March of 2020.
March of 2020.
COVID-ish.
So, Rusty Nailz, of course, multi-Emmy award winning. Broadcast?
Sure, whatever.
Little
We use
Tommy,
that term.
Hall of Fame radio personality. Certificate of Achievement holder.
Crossing guard of the year.
I've lost more Emmy awards than Russ has been nominated for. I do have we got Best Live Band for saying Emmy Awards.
There you go.
And we're nominated for Song of the Year. But I will tell you, the biggest.
It's a little like a Grammy there.
It did, yeah. We had it made.
Half a Grammy.
Trophy shop out in the middle. But one of the greatest honors here at Loft 100 Studios is that our very own technical director, Jared Coleman, nominated for an Emmy for technical director.
Yes.
So,
there.
so hold on, where is he? Hold on. Let's
He's on
bring
the
us some-
Zoom cam. Now, of course, technically directing means that he's got to pull this whole, may I say, show together. I know we got that in
We'll
editing.
bleep that out.
Yeah, we'll bleep that out. But it really is tough.
Congratulations.
New studio, all new equipment, all these personalities and entertainers all in one show. It's not an easy job.
There he is right there.
That's awesome.
All right, Jared.
Yeah, there you
No,
go.
I mean, to work with you guys.
And he's
I
not
think
directing, he's technically directing.
They
Yeah,
deserve
everybody
the Medal of
deserves an
Valor.
award.
Yeah.
They do.
That's funny.
He's not directing.
Amazing. Well,
He's,
good job.
Thank you very much.
Eat your strudel.
Stay in there. Yeah, eat the strudel. Nobody
Can
touched
you
it.
Eat your
still-
strudel.
Can you still TD while eating strudel?
Oh,
Let's
listen
see just
to
how
this.
talented
Listen
you
There
to
you are.
Jared.
There's your close-up, ma'am.
Got you.
I'm eating strudel. Yeah.
Sure can.
Get you eating strudel.
Now we find out you're knee-deep in the murder mystery Coronado. Chris
Wait a minute,
Ello.
did she just drop like an industry term? Like, can you still TD, babe, while you're eating?
Oh yeah, with
Come
an
on.
elbow too. And he
Jared Coleman.
Where's
Jared
the line
Coleman.
producer when you need one?
I need.
The
I
LP?
need to get some deep mystery about San Diego sports or something. Have you ever had anything in here?
I've got a big mystery about the yard sale going on in my set here.
I can move that.
It doesn't look like a refrigerator magnet anymore.
What's the biggest sports mystery of all time? Is there one? There has to be some sort of a sports mystery. Come on, Mr.
Wow, that's tough, man. Put me on the spot.
Wasn't there wasn't there like a missing first baseman or somebody flew with some Marilyn Monroe somewhere?
But I have a better question.
All right.
Of course you do.
Okay.
That's why he's got a question.
That's like starting a sentence. The problem with you is.
Hey, we all grew up here in San Diego. You know, Super Bowls. You know, Game 4 of the World Series.
Yeah.
You know, what's the best San Diego sports moment in your opinion?
Well, I'll be honest with you. One of my all-time favorite moments was actually at the old stadium, which no longer exists. But it was the night the Chargers came home. From winning the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh, and I was working at 690 back in the glory days of 690, and I got a call that afternoon from John Lynch, who was the owner of the station. And said, we're going to go do a live broadcast on a Sunday night. Need you there about 7 o'clock, myself and a guy named John Chalesnik. We were kind of the week. Look at you.
Huh? What happened?
Get a shot at him.
Just keep going. This is so good.
It's not
This is
easy.
really good.
And they sent us down there like 7:30 on a Sunday night and said, do a broadcast. And we're like, really? A little tired, you know, we've been watching football all day.
Plus, you know, Hill Inside Baseball, when you're sitting in the stadium, it was the biggest parking lot this side of Mississippi. When you're out there doing pregame out in the parking lot, it was never as fun as it sounded.
No, it didn't sound like
but
I honestly thought we were going to go into an empty stadium and sit there for 4 hours. We went into the stadium and there was 75,000 people in the stadium, and it only held 60,000.
There was
people just standing on the facade, on the roof.
And people just get off the plane and start.
People just partied for like 3 hours because the Chargers didn't get home till about 11 o'clock at night.
And take us to the moment when Junior Seau, Natron Means, comes walking in.
Yeah.
Take us there, because I know you saw that.
People were so excited. I mean, and we're actually the city of San Diego. I mean, we're not known as a good sports town. But when we have a championship team, nobody celebrates, I don't think, like San Diego. And
without the car tipping.
We don't burn the city. We just celebrate.
New Orleans look like Sacramento.
There we go.
Come on.
Man, when Junior Seau came out and they brought the AFC Championship trophy and they finally got out to the stadium. I mean, they showed footage of the plane landing at Lindbergh Field and then the bus coming with the team. And I don't even think the team knew what to expect. I mean, when they pulled into the stadium and there's 70,000 people waiting for them. And
smoking cigars.
It was just an incredible night. And I had trouble even doing the broadcast because I had tears in my eyes. It was so emotional watching the city be
and
that
you hate
excited.
the Chargers, so that's pretty cool.
I don't hate them.
You ever listen to your show? I've been listening to you for 30 years. You hate the Chargers.
I don't. Well, we all hate them now. We all hate them now.
You're realistic about the Chargers. I don't think he hates them. You're realistic.
So, May 2nd, 2012, Junior Seau goes to heaven. Can you tell us what your thoughts are?
I can tell you exactly what I was doing that day. I was going down to the what's the big ship? The Midway.
Midway,
And San Diego State was going to play a basketball game against Syracuse
on the deck.
On the deck of the Midway, and they were having a press conference with Steve Fisher, the coach of the Aztecs, and the coach of Syracuse had flown all the way out for this press conference, and I was going to do my afternoon show live from the deck of the Midway. Cool. And my wife called me in the car and told me that Junior had, died, and we had to go on and do a show. And I had to interview this coach of Syracuse, a basketball coach of Syracuse, on the day that Junior passed. I mean, that and the death of Tony Gwynn Jr., Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, Tony.
Tony Gwynn, yeah.
Tony Gwynn on, when that happened during our morning show that I was doing one day, and I was just completely speechless for that. Yeah. So we've definitely had our share of sad moments, but when we win a championship in San Diego, we know how to party.
Dang right, Ello.
If the Padres ever take a World Series and we actually have a parade, that's the one thing we're lacking in this town. We've never had our parade.
Big ticker tape
we need
and all
the parade.
that. We haven't had one.
Do you remember when we beat the Braves going into the NLCS in
1998?
It was one of magic, and then the Yankees came in and
the Yankees were too good that year. They were way too good.
The Yankees. What's next for you? Are you so?
Nothing's next for me. I still do my talk show every day from 3 to 7 in the afternoon with Tony, and then do some Padre pre and post game show. And in my spare time, you can catch me out at a high school basketball arena officiating basketball games.
I would
For some
I would
reason,
not
that's
want to have
something
Ello as a referee.
I don't know why I enjoy that. I
I'm
get a
going
kick
out to
out
heckle
of
from the sideline.
Right? Do you call them tight?
I won't be able to hear you because everybody else is heckling me.
Any parents yell at you?
Oh, all the time. Are you kidding me?
Do you call it tight or do you let the kids play?
I think I let them play, but it's funny because the people in the crowd are like, call it. Would you start calling fouls? And then if you call fouls, they're like, let them play, let them play.
Yeah.
You can never win.
Do they know who you are? Do they know who you are?
I think some people sometimes once in a while do, and I'll get a personal yell in my direction.
Do you have a number on your
Go back to the studio.
No number.
Number 17.
Luckily.
I need to go to his next game.
I think we should all go to the next
Seriously.
game.
Wait a minute.
Ask Paul Rudy. He's got some footage of me reffing
shoot.
games when I did some spots on Channel 51.
Okay.
He sent a camera crew out one night to follow me.
Oh, that's great.
And speaking of Channel 51 KUSI, from 4 to 7, you can see Ginger Jeffries right there and Logan Burns.
Look at how he segues.
4 to 7.
So that means you can listen to me from 3 to 4.
Yeah. Right.
And then from 4 to 7, you can watch or listen.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Multitask.
Right.
All right.
Burt Brion,
No way.
take us out. You've been watching. It's been magic.
Jared, come out to the floor and take a bow, Jared Coleman. Come on.
So fun.
There he is. Come on out.
Jared Coleman.
The Emmy Award nominated. Jared. G.D. Coleman. Come on, get out here. There he is.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Never really was. She had a place in his life.
Game is for everybody.